Today on the OBM Show, we are getting practical and we are getting strategic because we're talking about your tech stack, not just the tools that you could be using, but those non-negotiable tools that pretty much every OBM needs to run a professional, scalable business. So here's the pattern that I see way too often. OBMs are pros when it comes to building out our systems for our clients, but behind the scenes in your own OBM business, it can be a hot AF mess. Now, our operations are sometimes held together by duct tape and memory. So you might not have onboarding processes. You might not be using a project management system. You might have no automations in place and no frameworks for how you run discovery calls. And I really say this with all the love and respect in my heart because I have been there too. But if you want to step into a leadership role and be taken seriously as an online business manager, and I know you do because you're listening to my show, you have to build your own back end like you would for a client. You need to treat your business like you treat your clients as businesses. This is what is ultimately going to allow you to expand, raise your rates, work with high quality clients, and scale your income without burning out. So today, that's what we're focusing on. I'm walking you through the must-have tech stack every OBM needs to feel in control of their business and deliver results with confidence. So these are the tools that are going to really be your foundation. And most of them are completely free or incredibly low cost when you are just getting started. So if you want this full list before I even kick off into it, there's even more than what we'll be covering today, but you can head on over to obmschool.com/tools. I'll also leave those in the resources below this video or in the show notes of the podcast for the OBM show so that you can have that resource to really dive into what a complete OBM school tech stack could look like. This is not about gatekeeping, right? This is the OBM show. After all, let's dive in. Let's start by getting clear on what a tech stack really is, right? Because it's not a badge of honor, right? It's not about using the fanciest or latest and greatest tools. I mean, I'm a very practical person and I want to deliver you some examples that are very practical, right? It's not about paying an arm and a leg to keep your business afloat. A beginner OBM could easily get started for just $30 a month. You could have things automated. You could make your life easier. You could give your client that white glove experience that is very much indicative of an OBM business. So this episode is all about building a lean, functional ecosystem that supports how you work. But here's the reality. If your business depends on memory or inbox, like managing everything from your inbox or, random sticky notes all over your table, it's going to hit a ceiling relatively fast. Your tech stack will allow you to scale without scrambling. It will give you infrastructure. It will give you bandwidth. It will give your clients trust that you can lead. So let's walk through my 6 non-negotiable categories along with some examples and real use cases that will show you what is truly possible. So let's start off with one that you may or may not be surprised about, and that is using a project management tool. This is the operational brain of your business. If you don't use a project management system, you're flying blind. And whether you realize it or not, it's costing you time, trust, and follow through. So I use Teamwork PM in my own business. I have been using this for 15 years. To me, it's no frills, it's reliable, and it really integrates beautifully with how my team works. But whether you choose ClickUp or Asana or Trello, the tool is really secondary to the structure you build inside it, right? Your project management platform should house your weekly workflow, what happens every Monday, when are you reviewing your leads, when are you sending invoices, when are you following up with clients, when are you checking their project management tools. These routines need to live somewhere structured and not floating in your brain or buried in some random notebook. So the templates for onboarding and offboarding, the checklist for what happens when a new client signs or when a project is complete, from the intake forms to scheduling the kickoff call to accessing their own passwords and even requesting feedback. It all needs to live in your project management tool. In my opinion, and I talk about this a lot everywhere, anything that is recurring in your business, in your client's business, merits having a place in the project management tool, right? So I've just shared with you a few, like your invoicing, but it could also extend to things like publishing your newsletters, prepping for client calls, reviewing key performance indicators, and checking when contracts renew. If something repeats, it is fair game to belong in your system. Now, sales pipelines and follow-up flows, when you're tracking your discovery calls and you're following up with clients and you're sending proposals, if you're relying on your memory, you're likely leaving your brain cells, revenue, and resources on the table. So when it comes to launching, which is another thing that we do a lot with our OBM clients, when you map out timelines with due dates, and you may or may not be using your client's project management tool, but let's say you're mapping it out in your project management tool, you're going to be able to assign due dates, task dependencies. It's not going to live in some other random Google Doc buried in your drive. Anything that is floating in your head, even your day-to-day personal things, like I have a whole project management section called miscellaneous, and that's where I dump my random things that have to do with managing my family, right? That's also where I use that space to clean out my mental load, and I put it there, and then I am living inside of my project management tool instead of depending on my memory to make up for that. And we all know where that goes. So even if you don't have a team, this isn't for those of you who are scaling agencies. This is for you, even if you are a solopreneur. If you're doing all the work yourself, you especially need a system to keep yourself focused and keep your business operating like a real business. So one of our OBM school students, Kelsey, came into our world managing everything out of her inbox, which is chaos, right? No systems, just constant juggling. So she was doing amazing work for her clients, but she was totally overwhelmed trying to keep up with it all. So once she built out her ClickUp backend, everything changed. She had a handle on her week. She could see what was coming. She could plan ahead instead of playing catch up all the time. And for the first time in her business, and in a very long time, she actually felt like she could breathe. So project management tool, non-negotiable. Now, my next piece on your tech stack should be a real-time team communication tool. This is so important. If you are still managing your client communications through your email, through your DMs on social media, through random voice notes in even Voxer and random text threads, this is your bottleneck. And I will be real with you, it is exhausting. You need one central place where communication happens, one place where you can stay organized, responsive, and professional without feeling like you need to be on call 24/7. So this real-time team communication tool is going to give you what you need to feel like you are available for your clients, but with boundaries and expectations. So I use Teamwork Chat because I use my Teamwork PM, and I have this beautiful chat tool that comes with it that allows me to do a lot of things, one of which is setting tasks from within my real-time team communication tool. Because unfortunately, what can sometimes happen with these tools is they default to being where you manage your projects. And I don't want that to mingle, that ain't fun. You've got your project management tool, you've got real-time communication where real-time essentially communication happens. Many of our OBM school students use Slack, especially if they're juggling multiple clients or working with multiple contractors. So these tools can really create structure, but more importantly, they give you boundaries. And you know me, I'm all about that mindset, and I'm all about really making it work long-term with your clients. Now, real-time messaging is gonna let you keep conversations out of that email inbox, no more searching through threads to track and find whatever that update was. So you can set up a dedicated channel for each client or project. So for example, we'll have hashtag Susie, last name, OBM client channel to keep everything centralized for my team. I can tag team members instead of chasing replies. I can mention people, just like you would with other real-time team communication tools you might use in your day-to-day, but this is really dedicated to working with your clients and getting those answers that you need, getting clear responses, making sure that everybody's where they need to be. You can also integrate things like notifications from your project management tool, from your Google Drive, and plenty of other things. But I want to keep this simple for today, so I don't want to talk about all of the different integrations. I think the most important thing here is that you are using a tool that allows you to communicate in real time with your clients. Now, that being said, they might have their own real-time team communication tools. We're not going to get into the tech stack that your client uses today. I really want to focus on your tech stack today. Jasmine, one of our OBM school students, was constantly buried in her emails. She was using her emails essentially for a version of real-time team communication. And as you can imagine, that wasn't working very well for her. She was trying to answer questions and follow up with tasks using email and trying to keep it organized, not an easy thing. She decided to streamline everything by setting up Slack for herself and setting up a channel for each client to communicate with her, to communicate in real time, and to check in. So not only did it cut down her email management time by nearly half, but something shifted for her and her clients. Her clients started to approach her differently. They were communicating differently. They saw her as the one setting the pace. Leadership, one of the most important soft skills as an online business manager. The one leading the process, not just responding, but owning that whole workflow. So it's such a great way to set those boundaries and expectations. Now, the next piece of OBM tech in your tech stack has got to be a cloud-based document management system like Google Workspace, like Dropbox. And before we really get into automation, I want to talk to you about where your business actually lives. Because if you're building your business as an online business manager without a cloud-based filing system, you're making your life a lot difficult. And you're also limiting your capacity to really be a leader. So I love Google Drive because it's free, it's intuitive, and it's built for this real-time collaboration. So whether you are working as a solopreneur or managing your own team, everybody's in the same document, on the same page, working from the same version. Now, that level of clarity makes everything and everybody's life a whole lot easier. So here's what your Google Drive should include: a business operations hub, your contracts, your financial docs, your legal stuff, your templates or frameworks, your standard operating procedures. I call this my SOP vault, and we actually give this inside of our paid OBM school programs. Now, the other thing that you need is a client folder system, clean naming conventions, shared deliverables, and access to control. And actually, I'm going to share below this video and inside the podcast show notes my video on how I actually set up these standard operating procedures. So you have that also as an option, and you can actually see behind the scenes of what my systems look like. Inside the OBM School Accelerator, our flagship business building program, we help you build this exact structure from the ground up. It's the foundation for everything we teach. Our entire SOP vault lives in Google Drive, and students call it the Mecca of SOPs. So it's plug and play, customizable, and hands down one of the most valuable resources inside of our programs. So whether you're onboarding clients, managing launches, or running internal ops, there's a system for it, and it's ready for you to make it your own. So if you want to scale, you need to think about what it's going to look like long-term, right? We want to build proactive and not in a reactionary frame of mind. Now, the other piece, my number 4 tech stack must-have, is scheduling automation. My friends, There are a ton of these on the market. I love Calendly. I've definitely experimented with others. But now that you've got your back end organized, it's time to automate your first real system, and that is scheduling. This was the first tool that I've ever paid for in my OBM business, Calendly. And if you are a little bit confused on where to start, I recommend you do the same. Why? Because I have international clients. I don't necessarily work with clients in my time zone. So if I'm coordinating meetings with clients in different time zones without a scheduling tool, it is a nightmare. It's definitely not putting your best foot forward as an OBM. I was wasting time, I was looking unpolished, and I was also getting buried in unnecessary back and forth and some meetings that were scheduled incorrectly, not fun. So once I set up my scheduler, everything changed, right? Clients could book based on my availability, get automatic confirmations and reminders, and show up ready. It is professional and it's so easy. It's such an easy thing to do to give your clients that white glove experience. So this simple shift creates massive impact, and it immediately elevates your client experience and takes one more thing off your plate, right? And if there's one thing my intention is here, it's to make your lives easier, especially when you're confused about where to start with the tech. And if you haven't already, you absolutely need a clear, bold call to action on your website to invite people to book that discovery call with you. Make it easy to work with you. And while we're on the topic of website, I also have this on obmschool.com/tools, but I actually recommend Elementor. It's a great WordPress theme, simple drag and drop. We also have a Wix template inside of our OBM School programs. And I really recommend keeping it simple when it comes to building your website, but your storefront is also an important piece of how you're going to automate and allow clients to find you and then book that call. So I also recommend SiteGround. I have all of these tools available to you. That's what we use for hosting. And this is, of course, a big part of your tech stack and automation and really making it easy for people to find you, for people to work with you. And that's why inside the OBM School Accelerator, we give you a full plug and play website, actually 2 templates, one built on Wix, one built on WordPress, complete with onboarding copy, call to action placement, page structure, so that you're not just building a business, you're launching it with clarity and confidence. Because whether it's booking a discovery call or onboarding a client, every part of your customer journey should feel intentional and automated from the start. Now, let's talk about leveling up your automation and your automation tools and really creating that premium white glove experience, because we're online business managers. So tools like Dubsado, Honeybook, and Onboard, one of my favorites, allows you to automate your client experience from the get-go. Now, when you automate your entire client journey without losing that personalized high-touch feel is where it's at. So when it's done right, automation actually enhances the client experience and builds trust from the very first interaction. So I want you to picture a lead filling out your inquiry form. They immediately receive a beautifully branded welcome email with a welcome pack. They're invited to book a call. Then comes the contract or an invoice and an onboarding questionnaire, and it's all just triggered automatically as you flow with that client. Now, you didn't lift a finger, and yet your client completely feels supported and impressed. So it's not just automation, it's your system for showing up, showing off, and it really does a better job than any pitch ever could. So Dubsado is a great option for OBMs who want a simple but powerful workflow and automations for service delivery and all that good stuff. Honeybook is a beautiful tool that's perfect for creatives or OBMs working with personal brands, for example. And Onboard is what I personally use to run both OBM School and my accredited OBM agency, Noked OBM. It handles everything for us from client onboarding to working as a CRM, a customer relationship management tool. It helps deliver our programs. helps collect payment, and I can store credit card information there. And I've created high touch automations that really integrate as well with my project management tool. So this kind of infrastructure isn't about being fancy. It's about building trust and saving time and really giving your clients a premium experience from day one. One of our students, Tracy, who came into our accreditation program ready to become an accredited OBM and scale her agency, but her back end was a total manual mess. So she was chasing contracts, sending emails one by one, and onboarding new clients off the top of her head. So inside the program, she was able to really concentrate on how to set up an automated onboarding workflow in Entreport, relaunch with an agency model, and she signed 3 clients in a single month. The best part, her VA handled the entire onboarding process while Tracy focused on delivery. So that's what automation unlocks. And you might not be in that same place as Tracy, but I hope that you're considering moving in that direction. Because when you have automations in place, it not only puts your best foot forward, but it gives you breathing room. It builds client confidence, and it positions you as the kind of OBM who leads with systems and not chaos. Let's wrap up with something that completely has changed the game for OBMs right now, and that is artificial intelligence, AI. I know that there's still hesitation from some people when it comes to tools like ChatGPT, but here's the truth. This isn't about replacing yourself. It's about freeing up your brain, scaling your thinking, and moving faster without sacrificing quality. I use ChatGPT almost daily. For sure daily, not just to write for me, but to collaborate with me. It helps me do a lot of things. For one, it helps me draft SOPs. It helps me write onboarding emails and welcome kits and to help my students customize their own. It helps to summarize my coaching calls and create transcripts for me and high-level action items. It helps me to brainstorm launch workflows when I feel like I don't have a lot of brain cells left, or client processes when I'm also thinking about different tech integrations and native integrations. It helps prepare me for creating my podcasts and my YouTube videos that you're listening to right now, but also 90-day plans, proposals, and training ideas for our ongoing live OBM school community. So it's like having a sharp junior assistant on call 24/7, but you're still in the lead. You still refine. You're not starting from scratch every time. And that really helps to move things at a normal pace. And it's not just for me. Inside OBM School, we run dedicated AI workshops live because obviously this technology moves very fast, where we show our students how to use tools like ChatGPT to enhance and not replace our expertise. So we're teaching how to prompt and prompt strategies. We're walking through real client use cases, and we're helping OBMs integrate AI into how they manage operations, lead teams, and document systems. Because here's the bottom line. OBMs who are embracing AI now are moving faster, are moving more efficient, and we are positioning ourselves as future-proof strategic partners. So one of our students, Marissa, used ChatGPT to map out her entire SOP structure and onboarding copy in just one weekend. And she said, I finally feel like I'm caught up and even a few steps ahead. So that's the power of working smarter, not harder. And stay tuned because I've got full AI tools for OBMs in an episode coming soon. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow us, follow our YouTube channel, follow our podcast, The OBM Show, to dive deep into prompt strategy and to how to actually implement this stuff in your day-to-day work. But for now, this is your nudge. Play with the tools, start small, and use AI to support your brilliance and not to replace it. So here's what I want you to take away from this episode. Your tech stack isn't about looking professional, it's about operating professionally. It's how you create structure, deliver results, and grow a business that doesn't depend on you being in the weeds 24/7. From Google Drive to onboarding systems, schedulers, automation tools, and AI, these are non-negotiables, in my opinion, that don't have to break the bank and that are gonna set you apart as an online business manager. Now, if you are ready to stop piecing all the pieces together and you want some support, I have a great free tool as well. It is our OBM Starter Kit, and you can learn more about it at obmschool.com/starter. And if you are ready to join us inside of our paid programs inside of OBM School, and you're like, Sarah, I love this business development stuff. I need to set up these things in my business. I invite you to check out the OBM Accelerator. This is our flagship program, all about the business development pieces, all about the support, the step-by-step to actually build a business that runs like the ones you support. So come join us inside the OBM School Accelerator. We don't just teach you what to do, we help you build it. So you'll walk away with a fully functioning back end, real systems, your SOPs, your onboarding flows, and yes, your entire tech stack dialed in. As for a full breakdown of all the tools I talked about in this episode, plus a few bonus ones, head on over to obmschool.com/tools. There is no gatekeeping around here. This is the OBM Show. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the OBM Show. I hope this episode gave you clarity and a little bit of fire under your tush to clean up your back end and run your business like the pro I know you are. Until next time, keep leading, keep optimizing, and keep building the business you design to work with your life and not against it. I'll see you on the next episode of the OBM Show.